Hey, welcome to day 2 of Composed, 12 days of Composed, based on my book, Compose, The Heart and Science of Leading Under Pressure. I am sitting in the man shed, which was its original name, and now it's become also the woman shed, and the kid shed, because the rest of my family has discovered that this is a pretty awesome place, my office. I wanted to point to for a second to this exercise bike behind me. That exercise bike I bought for a very specific purpose. And today I want to talk about one of the most powerful strategies that we found that allowed a leader or anybody to maintain their sense of composure or to actually be composed under pressure was not about what they were doing necessarily, but around their sense of purpose. It was one of the key strategies. So on day 2, I want to talk a little bit about this. This bike behind me, I purchased for a very specific purpose. You might think it's ridiculous, but I get really bored exercising. When it's cold out, I'd like to have a better way to exercise. And so I bought this thing because, as you can see, it's got this solid back right over there that allowed me to, to actually play video games while I am on the bike, because you can't do this on a regular bike because you're going to fly all over the place. So if I'm going to go out there and beat up on all these teenagers, I need to have a better bike. So anyway, that bike's behind me. And I tell you that because that bike was bought for a very specific purpose, but when it's sitting here right now, it doesn't have much purpose. I can tell you exactly why it's there, but if I don't use it, then it just sits there. And I think sometimes when it comes to purpose, our purpose feels like it's just sitting there, like we're not being intentional about why we're in the situations of our life in the first place. And we found that a sense of purpose and clarity and intention around that is one of the most powerful things that you can do to maintain your composure, not just for your sake, but for the sake of other people around you, to become a better version of yourself in those moments. And so one of the things I mentioned in here is sometimes there are purposes that haunt us, where we ask this question of why, because really sense of purpose is about why. We're best at asking questions of why when something bad happens. You know, why did this happen? That's when we want to reframe, or we're in a moment of being lost. But there's also a purpose that we could be more intentional about before we ever get there. And that's what I'm really talking about today that might help us in both situations. I've suggested many times, and I think this is in the chapter in the book as well, is that if you could think about the things that you're going to do today, the meetings on your schedule, no matter what they are, related to work or family or your leadership opportunity, think about those meetings. Instead of thinking about what you're going to do, think about why you are in them in the first place. What is your purpose, like that bike with a specific design where you're bringing your strengths, what it is you do well that will help everyone else be better versions of themselves. Think about every meeting you have. I have a meeting this afternoon at 1:30. If I think about that, I really probably could do a better job of how I show up. That my job is to bring, in this particular meeting, some creative, the creative side of myself, the design side of myself, that I might actually be better in that moment. That's what I would challenge you today around sense of purpose, is think about your schedule and why are you in each of those moments that you're going to face today.